Hey, good morning and welcome to another edition of the Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Eric Cedarstrom along with Joe Jaquin, and we're live in Deer Valley, Arizona on this 26th day of March 2020 in the year of our Lord. And this show is brought to you by the Patriot Trading Group. Legal, lawful, constitutional tender, a quarter century in the making to get it just right. Call us 1-800-951-0592. You can head out to the website at allamericangold.com. Updated live daily. It's got news, pricing, 24/7, 365. Our top salesman works out there. It's crazy times to be alive. It's getting crazier as we speak. The $2.2 trillion stimulus passed at the Senate, heading to the House. Nancy Pelosi says she'll sign it. I told Joe I have my doubts. Joe looked at me like I was crazy, but I probably am. You think they'd try to add just one more shot of pork in there, but I don't know. Good morning, Joe. How you doing?
They are saying $2.2 trillion now, so I'm assuming that maybe they added, just 10% pork.
Just 10.
Yeah. They were respectable. Yeah.
Well, it's a sad day in this country. Of course, the stock market, the computer-driven trades, the Q, the deer.
This was all organized.
Listen, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. My wife asked me. I said, she goes, well, she goes, gold's up $27. I go, gold should be up 2,700. And she says to me, like, what? Why? I could see 270. Even she doesn't believe me. My calls. Well, figure this. How long did it take for this country to go $1 trillion in debt? And how many wars were there that happened? Civil wars, World War I, Vietnam, World War II. Right. I mean, the money, the Great Society in the 60s, the invention of welfare. I mean, and we still weren't at $1 trillion. What was it, sometime in the 70s?
1981.
81 to go $1 trillion. With the stroke of a pen, they can add $2.2 trillion. And by the way, it isn't like it was sitting in a savings account. It isn't like we had, what do you want to do with that $5 trillion surplus? No, we're running $1 trillion deficits. So nobody really knows how much the feds have popped out there, but now they can't hide this one. So, the Federal Reserve, there's probably already been $4 trillion in rescues, holding the mortgage market together, the corporate debt markets, just throwing money at everything. So we'll call it $6 trillion, probably very. It's going to be easy $10 trillion plus to stabilize this. Plus, I'm listening to what they're doing. This is kind of what they did in 2008. It doesn't work. So, now they're trying to figure out how are you going to get your money? How do you get, what is it? If you make under 75,000, you get $1,250. If you're a couple making under 150, you get $2,500. If you have a child, you get $500 per child. It's going to take 2 months or a month or 3 weeks or whatever to get it. So what? Big deal. They still think 25. Oh, all right. Now, there's I had a friend of mine used to go, Eric, here's $10. Go fill up the car, get an 18-pack of beer, stop and get a couple of steaks. People think money, they don't know. I'm like, well, that's a $50 bill, not 10. So, and the feds don't get it. They still think minimum wage is 7.25. Remember, they've been telling us our whole lives, as long as I've been in the gold business, that there's no inflation. If you go on their rate of inflation, a loaf of bread should still be about 32 cents, not $7. Okay, so I don't think it's going to work. I think it's a start, and I'm glad people are going to get it. Nobody knows how you're going to get it. Brian Kilmeade said that they were going to use the major banks or your bank where your business is, and if you stay open and you go in and show them your payroll, that they're supposed to give you a check right on the spot, and the SBA is going to guarantee it. So the bank doesn't have to worry. So you go, okay, well, my normal payroll, for how long? A month? I don't know. They don't say. So then anything else has to come out direct deposit from the IRS. Now, they wanted to go back to your 2018 tax returns, but that doesn't work. Because no one's filed 2019s, and now they're not due April 15th. They're due July 15th. So I think they got to do it on the 2020 returns. So when they come in, when you file, if you don't meet the criteria, I took the money, I got the money, but I got to give it back because I made, more than the criteria. It's the only way I could see it happening. But, I guess they'll try to figure it out. But, here we're talking about, you understand why Wall Street's rallying and why everybody's like, we're going to save us all. This is a socialist project.
Well, think about it. Today we had 3.3 million people file for unemployment.
You missed.
claims.
You said 5 million.
Well,
so
trust me, I'm right.
yeah, I know you're right.
I'm right.
They had no way they'd announce 5
but
million.
They're not going to. But 3.3 million, which is still 5 times larger than any other worst week in the history of the United States. But you can't give this number and then say the Dow's down, lock limit 2,000 points, and it's shut and going lower. People would lose their minds. So this was orchestrated. They had the meeting. I told everyone they had the big meeting on Tuesday, and they're trying to just keep everybody try to keep calm. This thing is going to get, unfortunately, a lot worse before it gets better.
Well, I don't see any reason why the Dow can't go to 50,000 or 100,000, but the loaf of bread will be right there with it. So just remember that. Hyperinflation, do I need to give you the definition again? I'll have to look it up. I saved it. It's on my phone. You need to put it on the website, Joe.
Right, something about hey, if you're spending money without any production behind the money, right?
You're triggering hyperinflation.
Right, so here's $2.2 trillion of nothing other than here. Just give it away.
So it's not all bad news. Elton John and Mariah Carey and whoever, Billie Eilish, I don't even know who that is.
That is a younger person. Won a bunch of awards this year. That's all. I don't even know any songs she sings, but yes.
They're going to do the first benefit concert to provide relief for Americans impacted with COVID-19. Now, remember they did the one in the 80s for AIDS. It was We Are the World.
We Are the World.
This one is We Were the World. Because we're done. So, all right, I'm sorry. Ramon, I don't know if he can play that disclaimer. We'll probably get in trouble for that one. All right, you're listening to Patriot Radio News Hour. People who work for a living, we're still here. We'll be back after these messages. Oh, man, great job, Jason. We Are the World is now We Were the World. That'll be the Elton John concert. I think Elton John was actually in that We Are the World.
I think you're right.
Who wasn't? I mean,
that had everybody.
That video, that song had everybody. Even Ray Charles, I think.
Ray Charles was in it. I think Willie was in it. Yeah. Michael was in it.
Michael Jackson?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, George Harrison, Cyndi Lauper. I mean, wow.
Everybody knows
this. I said that I know this.
Yeah. So, I made a joke yesterday that murders were on the rise because husbands and wives are all locked up together. You want to tell the story, Joe? I think Joe's apprehensive to actually tell this story, but this is us. I think it needs to get out. It's news. I think it's a microcosm of things to come. And
so yesterday at my neighbor's house was surrounded by the police department demanding that my neighbor come out of the house and that they needed to speak to the neighbor.
With guns drawn.
Not guns drawn, street blocked. There was about 8 cop cars that I could see. They had pistols drawn, rifles drawn. I mean, full blown I thought the Unabomber was my neighbor now.
Right, and they even had the megaphone, right?
Oh yeah,
come out of the house.
Every
we
5 minutes.
Surrounded.
Right. Yeah. Yes. This is the police. And
now this is not the projects, okay?
Right.
This is Joe's house. So
the next thing I know, there's a person in my backyard.
What?
Yes, not a police officer, but an individual that turns out to be my neighbor, the husband and wife. They live there, no kids, husband and wife. The wife is in my backyard.
And this is the wife from the home
that the cops were saying to come out, right? And I'm thinking, in my mind, I was just thinking, she has escaped, that her husband maybe lost his job. My wife and I probably lost his job, this corona thing.
Right, so you thought they were after the husband.
Right.
So, and maybe he was kind of, taken out on her.
Right, giving her a little beat down.
So she's the victim.
But that's what I thought when I went out there. I like a dummy, I come out, I coax her to come in the house. You're safe, this and that. My wife and I, next thing she knows, she just blurts out to me and my wife, I pointed my gun at my husband's face.
Yes, quarantine's working out real well.
But I wasn't going to shoot him. I'm a nurse, and I could lose my license.
That's sad. You probably will, too.
Yeah.
So,
and this is what lockdowns and coronaviruses do to people.
So it's an interesting story. So, so the house is next door to you, right?
Next door.
So they're all pointing guns over there.
Correct.
So the gal's in your kitchen.
Yes.
Now your boys are locked down. They're both home.
They're both home.
So she looks like your wife.
Yes.
Looks like my niece Sarah.
Similar appearance.
Blonde gal. So
5'8" blonde woman.
So you guys are talking to her. You realize you've got the perp. Now what?
Yes. Well,
you're aiding and abetting at this point.
My younger son, much smarter than me. Okay. Right, there's a reason why the Ivy League schools are recruiting him. He was already on the phone with 911, who had patched him into the cops that were out on the street.
So your son's talking to the cops in the front.
Yes, and she's literally we're in the house, but he's talking to the cops.
Wow,
like a 3-way call with 911. The cops on the street. My son.
It's Dog Day Afternoon. It's the movie
and
all
he's
over
telling
again.
the cop on the street, my parents have her in our house.
Wow.
And then he says to me, Dad, the cops want you to open the door. And I'm like, I'll be right there, And the 6 of them come, guns drawn.
So they just blow open the door when you open it?
Well, I open it, they come rushing in.
God, unbelievable. So you could have said, hey, she's unarmed. She's at the kitchen table.
And
come in and get her. But no, they got to come in.
They got to come in with the.
Did they rough her up at all? They throw her down?
They sent me outside and my son outside. My other son and my wife were in the kitchen. They didn't say that, so I'm assuming they didn't. I think she was going at this point willing. They were out there for like an hour before all of a sudden, for whatever reason, I was like, God, I wonder what they're doing on the other side, thinking there's going to be.
They must be behind
50
the house.
other cops behind the house, and I go to
They weren't smart enough to go back there.
There was only one cop that I could see, one out there that I could see. I'm sure there was other, but yeah.
Wow. What a story.
This is what's going to happen. The president wasn't wrong when he was saying that
we got to get it open.
Yeah, got to get it open because people,
My wife smiled this morning, first time in a week. Their real estate companies are all shut down, everything. So she was up. I got up this morning. She was already out. She's been planting the garden.
Well, how about Cheesecake Factory today?
What'd they say?
Said they're not paying any rent in April 1st.
Cheesecake Factory. Yep. At all their locations.
All their locations.
Now, see, how do they?
All their landlords, at all of their locations.
How do the landlords get money? The evil ones. So let's say you've got, again, apartment buildings, and all your people stop paying. And so they're all getting checks. You're the evil landlord. Okay, you're done. You're not, if you don't, and the wrong people are going to get it. And I'm here to tell you, this didn't work in 2008, and this isn't going to work now. So it's going to, It'll get relief somewhere, somehow, but the people that need it and the people that run Bartertown aren't going to get anything. How about, did they make sure they put verbiage in there where the president with Bellagio, or whatever he has, and all his other hotels and resorts, he doesn't get anything, right?
Right.
So this guy's right. He's a rich billionaire. Everybody loves him. He's on the A-list of every he's a billionaire. A-list of everybody's guess. If Donald Trump showed up at your party, you have arrived. He becomes president. All Hollywood, everybody vilifies him, and now they're going to make him go bankrupt. You think he'll run again? Why would anybody want to get reelected into this nightmare? So,
man, it's just all this stuff. Moody's and S&P are now telling Reuters that they have downgraded more companies into junk than any time ever since the rating agencies have been keeping track of such data.
Wow.
Ford was the latest, by the way. Ford down to junk status yesterday.
But they said they were going to reopen in Mexico first, coming up here, and then who knows when in America, but I don't know. Is anybody even buying them? I mean, I don't know. They said, sales were down 36%.
That was a week ago. Wait,
last week?
Yeah,
okay.
I wonder what's going to be this week. My guess is
when did they put that number out? Friday?
I don't know. I don't. Maybe. I'm not sure, but I'm guessing it's going to be significantly increased.
Probably one of the saddest things is baseball didn't open today. So.
I don't know. Has that ever happened? Did you find out?
Well,
World War II, maybe.
They had the movie A League of Their Own. That men's baseball was shut down, but it actually opened.
They had opening day
in 1942. It opened, so it was open, and I think then they shut it down because remember DiMaggio and everybody.
Ted Williams.
Right, they volunteered to go. Ted Williams, there's a guy. He went in twice. Yeah. He flew planes in World War II and Korea. So if he was a nicer guy, if he wasn't so pompous, he'd be a lot bigger today. But his head's frozen here in Phoenix. Yeah, it is.
Somewhere.
So, I don't know. Think if they ever revive that, the cryonics, if they bring back Ted Williams 1,000 years from now, if his brain cells were functioning, the stories he could tell and rewrite history. But anyway, Major League Baseball is supposed to open today. Now, the season will be postponed because, well, obvious reasons. Instead of flocking to ballparks, they're going to have to settle for, now they're going to play classic games being offered by MLB. Remember, hey, little Billy, this is what America used to be like. Remember I told you there'd be museums for American-made stuff? And you could take your kids to it an American way. Remember, this used to be what our flag looked like, back when you were allowed to have flags. On top of everything else. All right, I don't need to add on to it. So you're listening to 1360KHNC.com, the Roar of the Rockies, also live. I'd like to thank Jason for running the board. They're also live here in Phoenix on 1010 Family Values Radio. We've been on this station a long time.
Long time.
Yeah. 15 years, I think, maybe.
Close, real close. Yes, about that.
7,000 restaurants are shut down in Denver. And I couldn't get a number in Phoenix and Scottsdale. I couldn't even imagine. It's got to be all that.
Well, so. Denver's obviously heightened the shutdown there to asking only for essential personnel to be out going to work. And again, I mean, how does it work? If you can't go to work and you can't get a paycheck, you can't pay your bills. And you talk about what Cheesecake Factory did today. You think about all the other retailers. They're all going to. No one's going to pay their rent. No one's going to pay their mortgage. You sit there and you think about 3.3 million people filed for unemployment claims. The next highest record ever of all time was only 695,000.
What was it?
695,000.
The highest one
ever.
And this is just for 1 week,
ever.
right?
This is 1 week.
And they say 1 million of it was California, million
well,
plus.
California's been 1 million over the last 12 days.
Oh.
So that it's not all of this. This is why I said next week is going to be just as bad the week after. And as all of these states do this follow the leader crap and shut more things down, more and more companies, more and more people are out of jobs.
Well, how about just 2 weeks ago, Las Vegas native Carlos Rosales Jr. told his cousin that business at his new barber shop was doing so well that he was considering hiring a third apprentice. After living through nearly a decade of financial uncertainty following the 2008 economic crash, the military veteran felt optimistic again. That feeling evaporated when Rosales closed his barber shop. So now he goes, I don't know how I'm going to pay my mortgage or my car payments on my new truck. Remember, everything was booming. So everybody's got new payment. A lot of people have investment homes. A lot of people have. Everything has come back again. And I don't know, how bad this is going to get. I mean, let's hope that we get a V recovery in this country. I'm hoping for it. I can see Wall Street, the illusion of Wall Street, make the illusion of wealth. People will get back open. The Trump will open and everything. The other thing they just can't stop is, again, the mass printing of money. The gold markets know it. You're just going to see the little by little as this accumulates. I mean, probably by Christmas once we crest $2,000 gold, it'll just kind of start to maybe go a little bit parabolic. Gold will be in the news a lot. It'll become the financial vehicle of choice, even though Wall Street will be rallying as well. But people are going to start noticing. Now, remember when they put the $600 checks out last time? And you think the Arabs didn't know that everybody was getting a check? The price of gas went up $1. $1. It went from $3 to $4 a gallon from the day they announced that check to within 30 days. It went from $3 to $4. In California, it went $4 to $5. Why? Stimulus checks. The Arabs know people are going to take that money, go driving around, and all that. Back then, at the time, it was before we had all the fracking doing what we're doing, but we weren't we were more energy dependent on them, and we may be again. They're going to be the benefit of this.
Well, you brought up oil, so I'll just tell you, oil's down over 6% today on news that the stimulus bill did not include money to buy the 30 million barrels for the strategic oil reserve.
Oh, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me.
Just telling you what has happened here.
Yeah, at an all-time low, at a 20-year low, let's don't fill the strategic oil. And I think it's actually a cavern somewhere in Kentucky or something, isn't it? There's actually a hole in the ground.
Yeah, somewhere. I thought it was Louisiana.
I wonder how they get away with that. Imagine trying to do that today. Yeah, we'd like to fill this cavern with oil. You think the environmentalists would just go absolutely crazy? So anyway, Las Vegas, still, and everything was just kind of coming out. I think all the houses there and everything in Vegas and Phoenix, we were just getting back to the top where we were in 2005. And, and here this hits again. So, I mean, it's a very sad state of affairs. And I'm telling you, that I don't know if there's anything anybody can do about it. You want to take the time to be prepared as best you can. And, my next-door neighbor is an anesthesiologist. He let us know yesterday that he was checked for the coronavirus. So, I mean, it's kind of everywhere. I have a cousin she's not doing well from what I understand, and they don't know if it's coronavirus. I think she tested negative, but she's on a ventilator, but she's a international stewardess for American Airlines. So, Jan, we wish you a speedy recovery.
Amen to that. Amen.
But again, these are the people that are at risk, the medical people, and, of course, the people. Imagine being a stewardess now. I mean, on international flights.
Well, there are none.
Well, that's true. What, no stewardess or no flights?
No flights, no international flights.
They stopped that? All right.
There's hardly any flights.
When are they going to stop them out of New York? So
that's really the
no
problem.
Offense, Gary, just ordered from New York. But anyway, we'll be back after these messages.
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. Mrs. Schlafly was a courageous and articulate voice for traditional values and common sense for more than 70 years. And now, from the archives of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, here is Phyllis Schlafly.
I was flipping the channels on my television a couple of weeks ago, and I stopped, as I always do, on C-SPAN Books. There was some feminist, whose name is not important, giving a 5-minute rant against President Richard Nixon because he vetoed the bill proposed by Walter Mondale to make federal daycare for preschool children a new middle-class entitlement. Nixon's veto message, which was actually written by Patrick Buchanan, who was then working on Nixon's White House staff, is a splendid explanation of the importance of children being raised by their own parents. Nixon's veto was and is popular because the majority of Americans do not want to pay taxes to provide babysitters for other people's children. The fact that this veto, written back in the 1970s, is still being attacked by the feminists shows a lot about their attitude. They never forgive and forget. This also shows a lot about the feminist agenda, which is not only anti-men and anti-marriage, but also anti-motherhood. When the feminists talk about discrimination against women in a patriarchal society, one of their examples of oppression in America is that mothers are expected to care for their own children, and the feminists think this obligation should be taken over by the government. The demand for government babysitting for preschool children was one of the feminists' 4 hot-button resolutions passed at the International Women's Year Conference in Houston in 1977. The other 3 hot-button resolutions demanded ratification of the Equal Rights Amendment, tax funding for abortions, and an endorsement of the entire gay rights agenda. Husbands and fathers used to be expected to provide the financial support for their wife and children. The feminists have carried on a long-running campaign to make husbands and fathers irrelevant and to get mothers out of the home and into the labor force and then demand government daycare.
Thanks for listening to the Phyllis Schlafly Report. You'll be glad to know the legacy of Phyllis Schlafly continues, upheld by Ed Martin, president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, Chairman Helen Marie Taylor, Treasurer John Schlafly, a full staff in St. Louis and our nation's capital, and thousands of citizen volunteers, her Eagles, across the country. You can be part of that legacy at phyllisschlafly.com. That's phyllisschlafly.com.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, bad boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? When you were 8 and you had bad traits, you go to school and learn to...
Cops at Joe's house, so I had a weird deal, man. Husbands and wives. If you want to get rid of your spouse, I guess you just call the cops, say that they pulled a gun on you. They'll come remove them. Man, isn't that crazy? Crazy. So, I don't even know where to go. Okay, here, I'll tell you what. This is necessity is the mother of invention. Drink maker Pernod Ricard has had to externally source key ingredients, including glycerin and hydrogen peroxide, which it doesn't usually make. This is the maker of Absolute Vodka. But it was early Monday morning when Melissa Hainsworth came up with the idea that Pernod Ricard should make hand sanitizer. So the vice president of North American manufacturing at its $34 billion French drinks group, Hainsworth knew the company's well-placed because, most of the ingredients for vodka, and you can use it to sanitize. So now they've switched over. Less than 24 hours later, the maker of Jameson Whiskey and Absolute Vodka has received all the government approvals it needed. By the end of the week, the first batch of hand sanitizers now will be rolling off production lines in Fort Smith, Arkansas. So I imagine there'll probably be more of that. So imagine legal stills. They go back into the woods. What are you making there, boy? You got some moonshine? No, sir. We got hand sanitizer.
Moonshiners, hand sanitizing programming now, right?
They bootleg hand sanitizers in electric cars, So now the new NASCAR will be all electric. So, yeah, back when we had to run from the Environmental Protection Agency.
It's the Speedy White 5000.
Hey, getting crushed in the market, don't feel so bad. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, their 20 largest holdings. Number one is Apple. 35% of the Berkshire bug is Apple. Then 11% Bank of America. Coca-Cola, then American Express, Wells Fargo, Kraft Heinz, J.P. Morgan, Moody's, U.S. Bank Corp, DaVita. What's that,
I don't know what DaVita is.
Bank of New York Mellon.
I'm sure they're on the bailout fund. So far, it looks like a list of all companies.
Everything that's getting bailed out is in Berkshire Hathaway's ticker. Southwest Airlines, Delta Airlines, Goldman Sachs, Visa Inc., General Motors, Costco Wholesale, and MasterCard. So, yeah, if you want to know who's getting it. And remember they brought out Buffett during the 08 crash? Yes, they'd parade him. He's going to instill confidence. He's going to be buying these stocks, and they show him publicly trading the stocks. Turns out they were giving him stock warrant guarantees. Right. Behind the scenes, I know you're buying AIG. Oh, what's AIG stock at? We got to look at that. Man, if we got to bail them out again, that'll just be something, won't it?
I don't know that they still exist.
Oh, they exist. So AIG, they're the mortgage insurance people. If you don't put 20% down on your
you're right.
Your mortgage,
they actually still exist.
What's their stock value today? Probably up.
I didn't look at that.
Oh, so anyway, that's when you have to pay what they call mortgage insurance premium, PMI. That because you don't have 20% equity, they guaranteed, and this is how everything was done during the bubble. They guarantee they'll pay. They're the insurance company that guarantees the principal. So that's why you give them, on a $300,000 note, they probably take on a $1,500 a month house payment to $250. So
$27 right now for AIG, and by the way, they're up 5% today.
Yeah, so they're going to get bailed out. So, yeah, they're part of the bailout list. So who knows?
So just for the week, just to tell you, when the plunge protection team got activated on Tuesday, AIG stock was $18. It's now $27.
Yeah. So, wow.
Yeah. Nice little 33% help there.
Well, that's good. I hope you day traders out there, I hope you're doing good and taking advantage of this. Unfortunately, you got to make sure the brokerage houses get bailed out. Just because it shows on your computer doesn't mean you go, okay, well, I'm going to move my money out of my brokerage house. They had liquidity problems in 08. Hopefully they take care of it.
Still down 50% from January after today's move.
Is it? Yeah. So, God, think about that. Well, they're trying to put the genie back in the bottle. I hope it happens for the sake of the country, that people can get about the illusion of prosperity again. But, look at the debt. Just look at the debt. What do you think? How are they going to cover up the debt numbers? And how are they going to turn around and spin this later in the year when the budgets start coming out? How do you do that? How do you do that? So, what is it, October, the fiscal year, when they got to redo the budget?
So 2021's budget, what are they going to do? So right now they always come out, budget's like $5 trillion, right? And then, of course, this year it looks like a budget deficit now of somewhere around $4 trillion, and I think there's still more stimulus to come. Right, we're not there yet. I.e., oil. I.e., Cheesecake Factory not paying rent. Right. There's a lot more bailouts to come. All the people that don't pay their mortgages, all the mortgage service providers, they all need to be bailed out. Yesterday I told you about 4 REITs that imploded overnight. All of these things. I don't know. What are they going to say? 10 trillion? Hey, how about a $10 trillion budget for 2021? What's the revenue? Well, revenue is going to be about $3 trillion. We're going to run a $7 trillion budget deficits. This is why, Eric's talking about hyperinflation. This is why right here.
You think they're going to get out the implodometer again?
Oh, remember that?
Remember that? I'm just Googling it right now. The mortgage lender implodometer. They probably haven't had a hit in 10 years. So, here it is. Yep, they're starting to update it again. I'll be darned. History does repeat itself, but I still think the housing crash is too easy of a trade. There's going to be a lot of things that are different here, and we won't know what they are until we get through the other end. One of them is the 10-foot pole business. Think about that. That's down to 6 feet now. So they're in a lot of trouble. So, but I'm sorry. 1-800-951-0592 is the number here. We hear competitors going after us on the radio, the mealy-mouthed coin dealers. Now, stop on in. We have gold. Yeah, they got gold. If they have physical gold waiting to buy, they want $3,500 an ounce for it. So we are caught up right now. Everything's coming in, going out. There's no shipping delays. I'm amazed. Monday and Tuesday was just brutal. The $200 spike in gold, it was just amazing. So they've calmed everything down. With Wall Street going up, I hope the stores restock. I hope everything calms down. If Wall Street can do it, I'm all for it. You just can't stop it. They can't stop. The hard asset, legal, lawful, constitutional tender gold is going to hedge you against runaway printing of money. And we're not at $300 where we were when we opened this company, and gold's not at $800. There's a reason gold's in the 1600s right now, and they're just going to tack when they sign this thing, and when they sign it, over the following attrition of the Federal Reserve note that will come when everything calms down, and they'll get to the budgets, and you're just going to see what's going to happen. You'll see gold keep going up and up and up and up. It's going to react. Because that's what happens, because smart money, that's what they know what to do with. So
right on cue here, from March 19th to March 25th. Okay?
19th to the 25th.
The Federal Reserve bought $587 billion in securities.
There it is, mortgages. $587 billion, 6 days. They're going to hold it together. I hope for inflation. I hope $300,000 homes cost you $3 million. A Big Mac's about $50, $65. We'll all get through it. We'll be back. You're listening to the Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Eric Cedar-Strum, and we are live here in Deer Valley, Arizona, this 26th day of March. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. All the years. I'd like to thank all the customers that have ordered in here this week. A lot of people called, welcomed me back. Joe, thanks for having me back. I'm glad to be here. I slept 11 hours last night. Getting back and getting going, it's hard to get back in the swing of things. But it took me a few days. I feel good today. I think I'm caught up on everything. Joe was talking about Federal Reserve on their mortgage debt shopping spree. How much? $500 billion in 6 days?
$587 billion. And essentially, let's call it a week. It was 6 days, but let's call it a week. $587 billion. And again, I know it's just math. If they had to do this every single week for a year, that is $30 trillion. Actually, more than $30 trillion. And you think about the whole financial crisis, they only added, the Fed's balance sheet was about $700 billion before the financial crisis. It ended up at $4.5 trillion. That was like the high water mark. So you think about, okay, financial crisis was $3.8 trillion. The whole financial crisis was $3.8 trillion. And you're thinking about just in the last 6 days, they've done $587 billion already. This is how big this thing is going to get. This is how massive it is. The amount of bailout and dollars needed today from when the financial crisis happened, it's really hard to comprehend how much more money we need to bail it out this time around.
It's just mind-boggling. So, and it's really a moot point. I mean, I think the number one point right now is to keep the supply lines running.
That's what I worry about.
Keep the store stocked, be able people.
All these states shutting down, all these people being out of work, cases. If they spread like Louisiana, I guess New Orleans had a massive outbreak, and all of these things are key parts of the supply chain. Are people going to go to work?
They said the police officers in California. Can you tell me this morning? A lot of them didn't show.
New York.
New York. Oh, New York.
Thousands did not come to work today.
3,000.
Thank you, Arlene.
Arlene out front. Layoffs may prevent 40% of New Yorkers from paying rent. Goldman Sachs.
Okay, I want to just say this. This is why I'm telling you the number today was a bunch of bull.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so New York.
40%.
New York, all shut down.
How many people are there? New York City is 8 million.
8.6 million people in New York City alone.
So, yeah, there's like 3.5 million just New York City.
They said that New York only had 80,000 jobless claims.
Oh, come on.
Okay, like Pennsylvania, as an example, had 378,000.
Okay, there you
Colorado, who we know that Colorado released the numbers about how the first 2 days they had over 20,000 increase in claims. Colorado had a total of 19,000 claims, according to the data, which we know Colorado already said we had 20,000 people file for unemployment benefits just on Monday, Tuesday last week. This is how far behind they are. Believe me when I tell you this 3.3 million number, it was far, far greater than that. And over the next 3 to 4 weeks, we're going to see, I think we can end up closer to 20 million total over the next 4 weeks.
Well, another issue, too, is they go, well, people want to refi now and take advantage of the lower rates, but rates went the other way. But they're worried also about the mortgage servicing industry. In other words, like to get you got to have someone who does the paperwork. It can't be done electronically. Same thing with the filing your unemployment claims. The computers can only do so much. Eventually, there has to be a human element involved when the computers lock up, which they all have. So putting your money in your faith in technology usually doesn't pay off. And in the end, people want a human factor. They want to talk to somebody. Yep, you're in, you're done, you got your checks are going to come. So I don't know. Maybe it'll create work for those people. But I mean, I really can't tell you how bad this is going to get. How much farther we can go. I mean, Easter. When is Easter come? What
date? 12th of April.
The 12th of April. So let me see. Next week,
I believe, by the way, you can see the peak in New York right around Easter.
So
that's my call. We'll see the peak in cases in New York right around Easter.
So that's 2 weeks from Sunday. This coming Sunday is the 29th, then the 5th, and then the 12th. So still a long time.
It's a long time.
Long time. I don't know. My heart goes out to everybody. I know you're doing the best you can do. Now, Colorado, who's on our open forum? I may sit in with them here.
We got Glenn Tate.
Yeah. Okay, well,
no, it's Thursday. Rich Rodriguez.
Rich Rodriguez. Right. Maybe I'll sit in with Rich for a little bit, or you and I. We have to figure out what to do because originally yesterday when they were shutting the state down, it didn't include Weld County because Weld County's so wide open, and now I think it does.
Yeah, the whole state is shut.
So, but the radio station stays open.
The radio station is considered to be
essential.
Essential.
We're an essential business because we get the news out to you. So. You live in interesting times. We certainly do, don't we? So we offer wealth insurance, and the reason you do it is for days like this and times like this, trying to, I guess it's the same reason why you would have food put away and toilet paper, okay? Because you may not be able to get it. And we were unable to obtain product for off and on for about a week, and it's getting caught up now with the stock run, the panic. could be only temporary, though. Don't forget that. So I always said wealth insurance. The yellow gold was like my old yellow lab Bronco. Used to lay in the hallway, 100-pound lab. I actually named the road of our ranch. You know, we built our ranch up there for the emergency services. Yeah, we're off the highway. You have to name the road so they can find you. I named it Bronco Road. So if you're looking for me on the Canadian border someday in eastern Washington, look for Bronco Road. But he laid there, you know, tried to kill the mailman every day at noon, shed on everything, you know. They're, you know, big dogs, you love them, but, you know, a little inconvenient. It's kind of like gold, you know, a little inconvenient. You got to call, you got to wait, gets out to you, you got to find a place to put it and store it. But one afternoon, Saturday afternoon, sun was shining. My wife and I were in the back. Our daughters were, 5 and 3, and they were both napping. And somebody came through the front door. How about that? Look at what goes on. We live down in Scottsdale on Oak Street. Well, our daughters were in the room, and so was the yellow lab. Be glad you've got your yellow lab in place when the Federal Reserve opens your door. That's why you do it. That guy had a bad day. Final segment coming up. Yeah, old Bronky boy. He was tough, man. Tough dog. Save those kids. You're listening to Patriot Radio News Hour, brought to you by the Patriot Trading Group. Yes, wealth insurance. Now you know why you haven't. So the 10-foot pole industry was laughing down to 6 feet. But the states are not equal. Everything's not happening. And, you know, all the states aren't getting the same thing. The country's not all shutting down in unison. And, again, I don't know how you can do it or why. I don't know how they can enforce the shutdowns as it is. I guess we'll find out in Colorado because we are certainly not here to that phase yet in Phoenix. So traffic is still running amok. They had traffic jams in Phoenix this morning, and everybody's like, well, you know, what do you do? What do you do? Life is going to go on. You know, you get sick. It's a fact of life. So we just hope we don't get it, right? So,
well, that's all you can do. I mean, you got to wait and see, and like you said, there's no uniformity here. It seems like every state's on a different program. We didn't even talk about the devastation that's been done to the state's pension systems, to all the state's revenue lines, all of these things.
Oh yeah, the public pensions are
stimulus bill
losses right now.
This stimulus bill didn't address any of those either. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on and on. It's hard to keep tabs. Gold's up $25 right now, $1,660. Silver is off 11 cents. It's at $14.75. And remember, at the Kitco price, there's like a $30 difference between the actual price and what Kitco and
right. It'll
Comex,
click over. It'll click over next Tuesday, but nobody's trading spot gold.
They can't deliver it.
Right, because they can't deliver it by Tuesday. So we're working on the next month forward, and that's the real spot. But you can find that on Market Watch or Fox Business News. The ticker going by is the real price of gold. So get your yellow lab, get it put away. You'll be glad you did. We're working on a package here, so call us if you need some portfolio advice. You're not sure what to do, call me direct right in here, 1-800-951-0592. I worked with a bunch of people this week. I'll be happy to make some suggestions for you and help you get your economic house in order. I'm really good at it. I've done it most of my whole life.
That's why we brought him back. He's here for you. We have plenty of gold. Silver Eagles, nothing yet. If you want to sell Silver Eagles, we're paying $3 over spot if you want to sell any Silver Eagles as well. 800-951-0592. And like I said, Eric's here, I'm here, Arlene's here. We're here to help you out. If you need any advice or want to place an order, give us a call. If you want to sell something, give us a call.
That's why we're here, two-way market. So tomorrow will be Friday. What a week it's been. So
I mean, think about it. Gold's up $200
still
this week.
The week.
For the week.
Somebody called yesterday. What was it down? $16. Why is it going down? Well, it's called a market. So yeah.
It did go up 80 and 100. I mean,
it's not good enough for you. All right, we'll take 200 a week. So it's still the highest move. Gold went up 101.50
That's the highest
on
single
Tuesday
day up ever.
I've never seen gold do that ever. They used to have trading curbs on it, up or down, and they've taken all those off now. Silver too. So It's crazy. That's just Comex. Again, we discussed that yesterday, the difference between Comex gasoline and Chevron gasoline. You know, they're no different than Chevron and Patriot. We're the same thing. We can help you fill up your hard asset tank while they help you fill up your automobile tanks. So God bless everybody. Thank you so much. Hang in there, man. Just hang in there. Hang in there. If you're protected, you do the right things, we're all going to get through it. Imagine what this show is going to sound like a year from now. Just imagine. Imagine when we look back at all this. Give us a call. We can help you. We've helped thousands. We'll see you tomorrow morning, good Lord willing, for Jack Daniels Friday. We're going to spray it, not drink it. Don't forget that.